Today, we just found out that the Soul Stone will be the major chase card within the Spider-Man set. So what does this mean for Spider-Man? That means the hype dial just got turned up. And I guarantee you next week, I'm going to be making a video that looks at a giant price spike on pre-order pricing for Spider-Man just because this has been announced. Well, it seems like I was right. Hey, thanks for stopping by. I'm the Nerdy Attorney. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell button, do everything you can to let the algorithm know that you like my channel and you want it to stick around. It helps a small channel like mine out more than you know. Alright guys, settle in. This video is a lot longer than I intended, and I hit on a lot of philosophical notes about the way the game is evolving and how Magic the Gathering, for collectors, investors, and players, has been implicated by price spikes like this so early in a set's history. It's unprecedented, and it is caused by previous sets like Final Fantasy and both Lord of the Rings. I go into that in depth in this video, and I think it's rather interesting. It is a long one. Grab a snack or drink, settle in, and I can't wait to see the comments below so we can discuss what you think about these new changes in Magic the Gathering, its release cycle, and the prices people have to pay on release. Let's look at Spider-Man. I made a video just this past Friday when the Infinity Stone was released, knowing we're going to get the Soul Stone in this set, and I said, I bet you it's going to pop off because of this. And here we are, the hard proof. $922, the giant price. Look, the excitement was dropping off after some spoilers came through, all the way down to a low of $731 for a price for a box whose MSRP is $450. So we were already almost $300 above the suggested retail price, and now it's skyrocketing to almost $1,000. Look at the sales here. 957. This one's $890 for two, $890 for one, $800, $890, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. Look at this. Somebody got in for the Japanese Marvels collector for $690. I'm seeing that up here too. I missed it. Japanese, $800, $1,000, $1,000, and then $800. You saw that new price point gets established August 2nd here. Somebody bought 52 collector boosters here for $1,000. That is the kind of buyout investment mentality that we're seeing enter into Magic the Gathering that I have never seen before. I've never seen 52 collector boxes bought before release, let alone after release. This thing is still 2 months out and people are already speculating this hard. And you know why? Final Fantasy has set all new price targets for this kind of product. Final Fantasy is sitting at $1,447.97. And we see that price had a bit of stagnation here. It was trading sideways for almost a month. June 20th, all the way through to July 20th, basically sideways, and now boom. It is broken through to new price points. We have the initial price resistance here at $1,338, and then it broke through again at $1,430. Let's check out the sales and see how legitimate that is. There have been 4,500 of these sold since release, which is absolutely mind-boggling. And there we are. These are real prices, real buy-through. $1,500 is a new price target for these boxes. Then once you add tax, shipping, and handling, look at this, we're still scrolling down. That price target of $1,400 was established back in August, and then it lasted all the way through. Look at that, it continued. That was around the price target. With shipping and handling, this is as near as makes no difference when you're spending $1,300 to $1,400 on a box. And then it breaks right through to another level here at $15. How long before it goes to $16 or $17? Now we have to remember the Granddaddy set, which wasn't that old, that pushed to these new heights that allowed for this kind of price memory to exist, was Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth Special Edition here. We have the collector display now worth $22.39 right now, and you see it's just continually going up, nowhere but up throughout its entire price history, except for a little retraction here in December into February, and then it just quickly kept climbing, 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 and that chart doesn't even touch the new highs that this product has reached. $2,400. Look at this. It's incredible the hype and excitement that's going around this for a set that released back in November of 2023. It's incredible to see the price journey that it's gone on. Now, the interesting thing to mention here, just a quick note, not to talk too much about Final Fantasy because really I want to talk about Spider-Man, but if you look at what Final Fantasy is likely analogous to, it's not this right here, it's actually this. The first set of Lord of the Rings, the initial Granddaddy set where Surge foils were the new hotness. This was the set that got people excited. And it's still only at $980 for its value. We've seen some real price fluctuation and uncertainty in the market for it. And look, some even as low as $750, that must not be right. Simplified Chinese, yeah, that's not right. This one, $1,000. So these are sitting at $1,000 to buy. What does that tell you? It means that there's a real chance that these Final Fantasy boxes that have just come out might actually be more like this set before the special edition set comes out, we can presume there's going to be some incredible art within the next set that has been teased. It's been speculated that that is the spot that's coming out this Christmas. It will be a holiday edition. If there's going to be search foils in there again, we're going to see some real turmoil in the market. And guess what? A lot of people have just entered into this space. They have not seen the floor fall out from Magic the Gathering like I have 3 times over now. Little mini crashes to big crashes that happen, where suddenly things that were worth a lot are now worth a little, and we have seen a long road for them to recover. The Lord of the Rings, this initial set is a perfect example. The search foil market just completely destroyed itself as soon as search foils were so easy to get in the next set. Not to mention, those borderless poster treatments became the premier way to collect these kinds of cards. The borderless poster One Ring is still one of the best chase cards of all time, and to be honest, at $500 for the non-foil, it's not even really keeping up with the kind of value coming out of Final Fantasy. But let's focus on Spider-Man now. Spider-Man is entering this weird territory where this set, again, is not really like Final Fantasy. It's not designed like Final Fantasy. We're not getting a full suite of Commander products. We're not getting a giant 300 card set. In fact, this one is much closer to 200 cards, which means it's a lot more like this one, Assassin's Creed Universes Beyond. This was a smaller set that had the terrible micro boosters in them that nobody seemed to like. There's some good serialized cards in here, a few good playable cards like Excalibur, and even this set, which was criticized when it came out for being lazy and small and not carrying enough of the excitement that it needed, with Black Market Connections being one of the best pulls that you can take on release, Excalibur and others. It was hard to find those cards within the packs, not to mention you were losing the full pack experience. These only had 10 cards as opposed to 15, so it was a third reduced in size, and the amount of cards printed in the set was also lower, but here, it's going nowhere but up this month because, again, Final Fantasy has caused a new price target for collector boxes that Spider-Man is getting the benefit of before release. We haven't even seen everything in this set yet. Now, I'm not saying pump the brakes. I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve it. In a very real sense, if this Infinity Stone hype is even a modicum of what I thought it was going to be in the terms of it being released set by set and over time growing into this leviathan of a collectible target, that is going to be a huge bellwether for the entirety of Marvel's existence within Magic the Gathering. But if they fumble it, if they put out all 6 Infinity Stones over the next 3 sets, if they rush it, if they make it in a way that doesn't have that same sort of long-term excitement, they're going to lose all the newly adopted players that are buying into Marvel. Now, setting aside the crazy investment whales, like the 52 purchase that we just looked at, that's one whale buying from another whale because somebody had 52 to sell and somebody bought 52. Now, I've also heard, I wanted to comment on this, that there's a lot of local game stores that are canceling orders that were placed at the proper market pricing and being relisted at this new higher price target in order to make more money. Now, we all remember just 2 years ago, opening a local game store was a terrible financial proposition. It was very difficult to do, the margins were very tight, and the interest in Magic was waning at the time. Now, ever since we've seen a slow resurgence of Magic, which I'll give Magic credit, universes within sets were the beginning of the resurgence of Magic. Bloomburrow, for example, brought a lot of hype and excitement back to Magic from people who were excited to see a real Magic set in a new plane that had a universal story within it that was told throughout its art, its mechanics, and it just felt like a lived-in realm. Just like the old days, like Innistrad or Tarkir, we now had Bloomburrow. So that was exciting, and it brought back a lot of the hardcore Magic the Gathering fans, almost like a love letter to the way the Magic sets used to be designed and built. Now, Universes Beyond is bringing in a whole new subset of an audience that I think will lose interest, but let's be honest, the Final Fantasy hype is really only being continued by investors and top-end collectors, which is a small segment of the Magic the Gathering audience. When you have that kind of excitement amongst everybody on a ground level up, yes, knowing that if you could pull a very special card like a Sephiroth out of a collector booster and it could be worth upwards of $1,500 graded in a Surge foil, that creates excitement. But you have to keep in mind, the average consumer, the player, is the one who makes Magic the Gathering work. Magic the Gathering is one of the best games ever made. It's fun, it's thoughtful, it's a great time with friends that doesn't involve screens. I can say a million good things about the actual game of Magic the Gathering. This new investment side of it, though, I think could be a bad thing in the long run. The most important part that can mitigate that, though, is the customer retention. that Wizards can pull off here. If Wizards is able to pull in new people into this hobby and keep them here long term, players who go to LGSs, they start to learn Standard, maybe they get involved in Modern, or even get into Old School and realize the history, 32 years of Magic the Gathering, and they start seeing how good Sangir Vampire is in a mono black deck, suddenly you might build into Magic a new, true audience that will stick around. That, I think, is the most important thing. If you like Magic the Gathering, you gotta hope that it's not just investors keeping this going. You gotta hope that Marvel's Spider-Man brings people into the hobby and keeps them around because they know in 2 years, all 6 Infinity Stones will be released. In 2 years, we're gonna get an Avengers level set that's gonna be just like Avengers in theaters. It's going to push the paradigm for what a card game can be, just like the MCU pushed the paradigm for what a cinematic universe could be. They created a cinematic universe. They built a universe the likes we've never seen before, and now we take it for granted that you have 5 movies leading into one big team-up movie, all with wide releases, all with continuity of story and purpose. It's just a different level of storytelling that we, I think, are numb to now. There has been no set like this in Magic's history. Yes, we used to have blocks that would last a year and there would be a story within it, but you have to keep in mind that a lot of the people actually didn't read the Magic lore behind it, or they learned it just through the cards and little statements on the cards. Now, these cards will be the top end of a deep, deep well of storytelling that Marvel can bring to the table. It's within the zeitgeist of our culture. We all know now, because of these movies, who Thor, Iron Man, Loki. We know these characters, who Black Widow is. We understand their stories, their struggles, their strifes, and we'll understand little hints and nods to story details, or Easter eggs, or possible teasers for future things, just like we did with the MCU. If Magic does this right, this Marvel crossover, not just Spider-Man, but the Marvel crossover itself, could radically change the complexion of the gameplay base for Magic. It could bring in a younger audience. It could bring in people who are going to stick around, who are going to build nostalgia around certain sets. For all we know, there's going to be a giant subset of Magic's population 10 years from now who started in September. They started with Spider-Man. Think about that. It's more than just how much this is worth. It's more than just the investment, which, by the way, I do find interesting. Of course I do. I wouldn't make content about it if I didn't. But we are building now the people who are going to be pulling the cards that could define a decade for them in Magic the Gathering. So where does this leave us when the price is now unattainable for most people before the set has even released? Will there be the same wide adoption that Final Fantasy had? Because when it came out, yes, it was one of the most expensive sets on release, but it still wasn't this. It wasn't $1,000 a collector booster. And don't forget, Spider-Man is not coming with Commander products. Yes, Final Fantasy had some of the most expensive Commander products, but many local game stores were still selling them for $70, $80, $90, which is pretty equivalent to, say, a new PS5 game. A lot easier to swallow that pill when a ready-to-play deck is there for you. You like Spider-Man, you want to play? Here's a Gwen Stacy deck. Have fun. Yes, it's $70. It's like buying a PS5 game. And I think that's much easier to acquire new players. For investors and collectors, they don't care. Some people aren't even opening these boxes. They want to hold them like an investment and then sell them off later, which, by the way, the numbers show that can work. Is it a good idea? Who can say? Of course, none of this is financial advice. How could it be? It's cardboard. But at the end of the day, my concern for Spider-Man, even with all this excitement and hype, is this hype is happening too soon. It's happening too early, and it's going to quash the potential addition of players who enter the space just because of Spider-Man. Now, the play booster boxes do still exist, and they're at a much better price. We're looking at $182 for 30 packs of Spider-Man, so there will be ways for you to hop in. And look, these have gone nowhere but down. Isn't that interesting as a juxtaposition? If you actually want to play the game, the price is reducing as the collectors get more and more out of hand. I hate to say it, that is exactly the way I think Wizards intends this product to work. I think they've intended all along, it's in the name. If you want to play Magic, this is your product. If you want to collect Magic, the collector booster is your product. I know it's obvious, I know it's in the name, and I'm sorry if anybody feels insulted by me mentioning it because it is that simple. But you have to understand that the price differential between these products is becoming so extreme that the names are becoming more important than ever. It used to be you could buy a set or draft booster for $80 to $120 and a collector booster for about $200 to $220 depending on the set. That price difference of about $100 doesn't matter all that much. If you're interested, you can get, for the price of 1.5 play booster boxes, and at the time set and draft booster boxes, 1 collector booster box. That means that the adoption of collector booster boxes could occur much more organically from people who are already willing to buy a play box. Now though, when you're looking at a price disparity of $180 versus $1,000, what is that signaling to people who want to get involved in this hobby? It's telling you that, yes, you can play, your pull rates are going to suck, it's going to be harder for you to pull the powerful cards you want, even though we have a pool of 30. The real stuff, the juice, the thing that got you into this, the exciting thing that went all around Facebook with that beautiful soul stone on there, you're not even eligible to pull that because you can't afford $1,000 on release. It's a bad message to new players. I think it's important to remember that typically, when Lord of the Rings came out, I was still able to buy the LGSs for $320. I think the whole box was $325 for the special edition set. I've mentioned it before. I was selling to my friends Gandalf the White borderless poster for $15 to $17. There was still time for the product to breathe amongst the market at large of people who play, collect, and rarely invested in Magic the Gathering. At that time, the big investments were Revised, Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, the Reserve List. That's where people were, quote, investing in Magic. New Magic was seen as volatile. Magic 30 had recently happened. It was seen as an unsafe thing to touch. People entering in from other gaming spaces don't know that history. They weren't here just 2-3 short years ago to see the kind of lack of faith in new Magic product. Now, though, new Magic product has been rarefied and has been elevated by the price targets set by Lord of the Rings, this very set we're looking at right now. You have to keep in mind, it built to $2,200 since November of 2023. We're almost 2 years out from that, and it earned this price value. It earned this rarefied position as a set that has some of the greatest cards ever printed in Magic's history, in my humble opinion. Between art and gameplay, from Orcish Bowmasters to Legolas's Quick Reflexes, to the One Ring borderless poster, to a chance at some of those insane serialized cards, it changed the paradigm for the kind of thing a new Magic set can do while integrating with one of the first fantasy properties to ever exist. Think about that. That was a giant revelation for what a Magic the Gathering card could do. So far as I'm concerned, Lord of the Rings earned this position after being amongst all kinds of players. Players who can barely afford to buy a couple packs on the weekend, and players who are already able to buy multiple collector boosters upon release. But let's not forget, that entry point is now being reduced further and further and further to a more exclusive bunch of people. Not to mention, when you spend $1,000 on a Magic product, the people who can just sit on that and just play with it and never have to think about how they're going to buy the next $1,000 set without selling some of their Magic cards, that's getting smaller as well. When you buy a box for $220 and you pull an $80 card, you can sit on it. Selling that $80 card for $50 at LGS is going to pay for a quarter of a box. You can save up $200 over a month to get ready for the next set. It won't be as onerous on you to do. But now, with sets coming out almost monthly, if you're going to have to save for $1,000 of a chance at a collector booster, it's going to reduce the chance that you can pull and keep everything from that box. You pull a Chocobo in Final Fantasy, but you want to get into Spider-Man? Do you have another $2,000 to spend just to enter into the space in a competitive way? So all that's to say, yes, I think it's great to see that modern Magic is getting a brand new player base, because I love playing Magic the Gathering first and foremost. But we need to remember that these sets, when they came out, there was time for them to breathe before they went crazy. Final Fantasy, it already happened too soon. It happened at the way end of pre-release, and at the beginning of actual wide release, those price spikes were occurring. That was already too soon in my feelings. I thought it didn't have enough time to breathe, we couldn't tell which cards actually played well, and it was very hard to determine the drop rates of certain cards with only about a week's worth of data to figure out what's going on. Now Spider-Man, before it's even released, it's already gotten to a price point that so few can afford. I'm worried that mass adoption is not going to happen. And if anything, it might turn more people away from Magic the Gathering than it's going to bring to Magic the Gathering, because it's so expensive on release, who can keep up? I didn't expect this video to go here. It's a bit longer than I anticipated, but I think this is naturally where the conversation has to go from somebody like me, who is a player first, who became a collector because I played so much, and now follows the investment of it because I find it interesting to watch the numbers go up. On my TCG app, looking at my Chatterfang deck that I've been building over the past 4 years, to watch the value of it go up, even though I haven't changed a card in a few months, watching the value just continue to rise because the staples within them are rising as well. It's fun to watch something that I enjoy appreciate in value. My entire life, I played my Game Boy games, my PlayStation games. I would trade them in because all they did was go to zero. If I bought a PlayStation game for $50, I could trade it into GameStop for $7 if I was lucky, $15 if it was a hot game. That reduction of value in a purchase is what I was used to. And now I found a hobby that when I buy it and I wait and I play with it, it gets more valuable. I've never had a hobby like that in my life. When I buy a computer, you spend for a 1080i graphics card, that thing is worth nothing now, but you paid $800, $900 when it came out and had to wait in line for it. Tech depreciates. All the kinds of entertainment that I'm used to being a part of depreciates until 15 years later when suddenly people want a 3DS again, like myself, and you gotta pay basically what it was on release, maybe a little bit more. But accounting for inflation, that's still a steal. But Magic the Gathering cards? It's the first time ever that I had a game that appreciated over time. So naturally, I started diving into the investment side of things. I'm going to be full disclosure. I have no sealed product. I'm not good at keeping sealed product. I tried with Tarkir, I tried with Lord of the Rings, and I tried with Final Fantasy. And guess what? I opened every one of them because it's too much fun and I like the cards. And when I get a big pull, it becomes kind of sentimental, for better or for worse. And then I put them in my deck and I have a story about where I got that card and the crazy pull that I had from it. You know that video that I posted of me opening up my Edge of Eternity collector booster and I got that awesome Galaxy Foil Gemstone Caverns? Yeah, it's the second most valuable card in the set, even above the Ancient Tomb Borderless Galaxy Foil of the same name. Look at the price here. This card, while yes, the chart does not look promising and this set is still really new, so I'm not saying that it's going to remain that way, but it's listed at $375, $380, $390, and it's only had 4 total sold. So the availability of money to buy this card is less than that of, say, the Ancient Tomb, where of course Ancient Tomb is a very playable card. That had 11 sales, average price of $375, but look, you can get that for $20 cheaper. So it's crazy to think that I was able to pull in my first box of Edge of Eternities. It's more than any of the Fracture foils that we have available. It is one of the most expensive cards, even more than the Ancient Tomb. Let's see if this is flopped since I last checked. No, $345. So this is a price target of $400. It's not meeting it. That price is dropping. And now they're at $345, $345. To be fair, much more sell-through, 21 have sold. But the price of Gemstone Caverns is very much real. We have seen those sales go through as cheap as $345, but look, $392, $499, $499. 2 were sold just a handful of days ago for $500. So yeah, I pulled the second most expensive card in Edge of Eternities behind the headliner Sothura, the Super Void. That Gemstone Caverns, I'm not getting rid of it. I can't sell it. I pulled it on my YouTube channel. I feel kind of sentimental to it. It's going into a deck, especially with me getting into CDH. I'm going to want more Gemstone Cavern cards. So that's what I'm trying to talk about. I'm at this weird intersection of player where I feel like I can relate to each aspect of Magic the Gathering. I can relate to the player because I love playing Magic the Gathering. I can relate to the collector because I like holding on to my cards and watching the numbers go up. I can even relate to the investor because I can see the impetus, especially with how tough things are right now, to make a buck while doing something you like, to supplement your income in a way that doesn't crush your soul. So, when looking at all of that, I understand where each aspect of this market is coming from. But what I hope, my dream for this, is that Spider-Man does not price people out of the market too soon, that pre-release sets at $100 per pre-release go back down to $35. I'm hoping there's so much supply for local game stores in their pre-release packs that you can play a pre-release for Magic the Gathering Spider-Man at $35 the way it was intended to be. This is the introduction into the hobby. We're trying to bring people into the game, not push them away. What does a pre-release pack of $100 say to somebody who wants to enter into this space? Sorry, it's an expensive game. Yeah, you might play tonight if you break the bank, but you're never going to be like these other players, these entrenched players. It's a bad message, and I think it needs to be fixed. And I feel like I am qualified to bring these opinions to the internet at large about Magic the Gathering because I am actually a lawyer. So my job is to think about where things are going to lead in the future, not what A plus B equals, but looking all the way down a full equation of the entire alphabet and realizing how A led to M and eventually became Z. It's my job to think about the future and look at what one step goes into another. I call it extrapolative thought. Others, I'm sure, call it that as well, but I must extrapolate from point A to point B to point C. And as we know, if you move a cruise ship even just 1 degree in a different heading, by the time you've traveled an hour or 2, you are miles away from where you initially started. That's what's been happening with Magic the Gathering. These have been small adjustments over the past 2-3 years to try and bring it to this very spot. I think Chris Cox and I think Wizards of the Coast very much were angling toward this level of hype and excitement so they could increase their print runs, sell at a higher value to the LGSs by and ensuring that now they're getting almost $300 a box at cost from the distributors, and that is changing the whole price paradigm for this kind of product. It's increasing their profitability. Endless profitability is impossible, we know that, but corporate America is trying its best to get there. So when it comes to the markers that I'm seeing, when it comes to the dominoes that have been falling, for me, it's unfolding rather clearly in my mind as to what we're causing. we're causing a market that is built to atrophy in a year or two. And I want to see Magic survive. I, in fact, want to see Magic thrive. There is more competition than ever in different kinds of card games. We have One Piece, we have Pokemon doing incredible things both in gameplay and in the market. We have Yu-Gi-Oh! Still alive somehow. You have Star Wars Unlimited, you have Lorcana, and those are just the big ones. There are new sets, there are new kinds of trading card games coming out every day now, and there's more noise and competition in the space than ever. Yes, Magic the Gathering was the first. Yes, Magic the Gathering has a multi-generational following, but if you are going to create new products that only the top 5% perhaps, I would love to see data on the earning capacity of the person buying versus the amount they bought of a particular product, and what subset of the entire market for a set's release did those people make up. Because my suspicion is, at $1,000 a box on release for collectors, you've now reduced the buying pool that was 100% of people might be interested, and 60% might actually partake in a collector box at $200, maybe 50%, somewhere around there. It's very possible that they've reduced that buying pool down to 20%, 10%. These are all hypothetical numbers, but they are shifting no matter what, regardless of what number it is. Maybe only 50% bought collector boosters at the beginning. Remove that from the argument. My position is, when prices soar this high before someone's even cracked a single pack of Spider-Man, there is bound to be an atrophic quality to the effect. It's going to pull away from the people who are interested. It's going to push away those who want to be interested, and eventually that will hurt the player base. And now this is why I always argue Magic the Gathering is the best game ever, because it can be 1,000 different things to 1,000,000 different people. You can play Canadian Highlander, you can play your own kind of Magic the Gathering that completely bans Universes Beyond, only in-set universes for you. You can make Magic the Gathering a 60-card game, a 100-card game, a 3-player game, two-headed giant. There are so many different ways to play it, and guess what? It's up to you. You don't have to wait for a software patch. You don't have to wait for a new release or buy an expansion pack. You could just take your existing cards and build a new way to play. Build a new meta with your friends that only exists at your kitchen table, and the future of Magic is in your hands. I like that about this game, and I love the idea that now you can throw Spider-Man in, you can build your own stories, it becomes immersive for those who like that. I don't want to see potential players of Magic the Gathering get turned away because the price hype is too much. That's all. I know this is a bit of a rambling video. Please let me know if you like it in the comments below. If you think that I'm right, I'm wrong, overreacting, over-dramatizing. I'm excited to see so many people interested in this. But when we look back at somebody who purchased 52 from somebody who is holding 52 collector boosters, it is the first time I've seen a real trail of that whale investor buying and selling to another whale investor who's made their profit. This is futures trading in Magic the Gathering, now that I'm thinking about it. 52 boxes of Spider-Man. Either they bought it from a distributor and they're the direct person who is supposed to receive them, and now they've sold them as a pre-order, or somebody's purchased 52 pre-orders and has now relisted those pre-orders knowing they're going to get it from somebody else and having a third party buy those pre-orders. Not a single pack has been opened, not a single transaction has occurred beyond that of a promise to get a product. This is futures trading. That's where you see this investment-like mentality occurring. This 52 sale at $1,000 per box is emblematic of what people have been talking about. I've seen nobody put hard evidence up. This is the first time I'm showing you directly there are whales buying and selling pre-orders. Now, whether or not they are the first purchaser from the point of origin from a supplier to a store, or they're attenuated out by 3 or 4 pre-orders to other people who just believe they're going to get the product and this sale is going to get canceled when they can't deliver, who knows? But at the end of the day, we're seeing investment-like purchasing on a large scale. Hopefully when the set gets open, there'll be enough singles in the market that it won't matter. Buy singles, right? That's always a good idea. Timing the market is difficult. Singles are the most volatile thing when they come out, especially now. Collector boxes seem to go nowhere but up. Play boosters seem to go nowhere but up. And the singles are the ones that have a lot more volatility as people realize how hard the pull rates are. For example, looking at Cloud versus Sephiroth or Vivi. Vivi, super hard to pull. Sephiroth, a little less hard to pull, and then Cloud, more plentiful. So you watch the price margins adjust accordingly over about a month-long period as people actually opened the set and got to see what's inside of it. So that's where I'm gonna end the video. I think we talked about a lot today. I'd love to hear in the comments below what your thoughts are on the impact of a Spider-Man set being worth $1,000 a month plus out from its release on both Magic the Gathering investors, collectors, and players. Which one are you? Which one do you classify yourself as? And I'm very interested if you found my video because you started watching for Final Fantasy. Are you here because of Final Fantasy? Are you planning to stick around because of Spider-Man? That is exactly the kind of person I want to see enter. Welcome to the space. Welcome to Magic the Gathering. Take a look at some old precons from 2-3 years ago. Take a look at some classic Commander products. It used to be that the Dragon being $300 for the precon was insane, but now for the stuff you've seen, go pick one up. Get a Traxa, Breed Lethality, one of the great historic precons of Magic's history. You could pick that up, play with it, and it's going to be a badass deck from day one. Go have fun. Enjoy the various formats. Welcome to our community. We're very happy to have you here. And don't run away just because somebody buys and sells $52,000 boxes a month and a half before release. There are a lot of good people in Magic the Gathering who love this game, and you're going to make some memories you won't forget. All right. Thanks for stopping by. I'm the Nerdy Attorney, and until next time, court is adjourned.